Hello, bold congregation members. Welcome. I am Brandy Sandberg, and I am the president of the Bread of Life Deaf Lutheran Church here. I am here to give my report on what's been happening in the year of 2023. What a year it has been. We survived 2023, and now it is time for our annual congregation meeting, which is happening today, again for this year. It is also time to catch everyone up on what's been going on in the last year, and also tell you some exciting things to look forward to in the year 2024. Again, we have been through a lot this year. Bold has really been through it. As a church, some examples include dealing with COVID. We've had a lot of discussion around the future of Bold. We have been also preparing to sell the building and also transition to moving to a new location after we have sold the building. That process of selling the building and moving has already begun. In the last year, as your president, I have grown as a person and as your president. We have a great team here on Chapel Council. Our team has been working tirelessly on discussing and making decisions for the church, about the church. We're also wanting to be there for you, our congregation. The council is there for you to help answer any questions you may have, so bring on those questions. We'll talk and discuss them and then give you the answers and support you need. As your president of the council, I have found myself very busy this last year. And just to highlight some of the things that I've been doing, for starters, I've been working with our council members and some of the members of the congregation, which has been fun. In the springtime, I went to the Minneapolis Area Synod annual meeting. I went with Pastor Katrina and Deacon Dorothy. I learned so much about our synod. We also hosted a few executive officer meetings this year. Those are with the officers of the council. During those meetings, we had a few big topics we wanted to discuss. They were related to policies and procedures for a few different areas. The two main areas that we discussed several, but the two main areas were the child daycare policy and the sexual harassment policy. There was a few others as well, but those were our two big ticket items. We realized that some of the policies that are currently in the handbook are old, outdated, and need to be updated, and some of them are just simply missing. So the officers researched, discussed, brainstormed, and developed policies for the topics that we noticed needed updating. We also hosted several town hall meetings in which we discussed Bold's future. There was opportunity for questions and answers as a congregation, and we want everyone to be as involved as possible. I am also part of an ad hoc team called the Relationship Team. The purpose of that team is to discuss with other churches, for example, Minnehaha Communion Church, as well as Bethel. We're talking about the transition to a new location as we prepare to move, and we want to make sure any questions that we have or they have are answered and we can figure out the best fit and working together effectively. I also joined a group called Faith Practice and Neighborhood Practice. That group was set up by the Minneapolis Area Synod, and it is a 2-year commitment. The goal of that group is to help churches in the area who are struggling to connect with their neighbors or people in their neighborhood, and also understand cultural humility and the differences in culture we have around us. It was a great opportunity to join, and I'm looking forward to learning more as we meet over the next 2 years. So as we head into 2024, I wanted to give you an idea of what's happening. We will have a new bishop for the Minneapolis Area Synod. They will vote on it this year. We will continue working on selling our building for Bread of Life Lutheran Church. And there's also a potential for us to move into our new location this year at Minnehaha Communion. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but that is a possibility in the new year. We are all looking forward to changes, and we are all in this together as we prepare to sell the building and move. But remember, this building, Bold is not the building. The building is not what makes us. We are Bold. The congregation, we are the family. That's what makes us Bold. If we all work together, we will all get through this change. And we'll have the support of each other as difficult moments arise. This change will not be happening overnight. It will be a gradual process, and it will take some time, but it will happen effectively, I trust. To wrap my report up, I wanted to tell you all that I will be resigning as president. I will be stepping down. I do not plan on taking an officer position for 2024. I will stay to finish my term. This is my 6th year on council. And the reason why I'm stepping down is I just need to focus on some outside responsibilities, some personal things that are happening. I need to focus and take care of those. Thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it. Have a good day and a safe year. Love you all. Hello, everyone. It's Janie Barlow here. I am your council vice president. I want to give my report for the 2023 year. I will talk about some things that happened over the months and then give a few highlights that I wanted to emphasize. So over the few months, I participate in monthly meetings, reach out to committee group when Bold needs to meet with them, and work on getting some reports from them. I work closely with the council president and pastor to prepare consent agendas for our meetings. I have been a part of some training groups and attend their meetings. I attend executive meetings where all of the officers meet together. The deacon, the pastor, we all meet and discuss different things. We've been mainly focusing on policy work. So some monthly highlights. In January, I went to we had a meeting with Dave Raymond where we started a conversation about Bold's future. In February, I joined an ad hoc relationship team that was a part of Bethel and Minnehaha were also a part of that, where we discussed different options about our future. That is ongoing. In March and April, I was out for maternity leave. I returned in May. I went to an all-day council retreat. In June, the building committee decided that it wouldn't be continuing the building. We would do something different with the building. In July, I went to a special congregation meeting here at Bold. In August, we tested different worship service times at Bethel and Minnehaha Communion. In September, we were really busy. I had a few different highlights. I went to the ELDA Bold board meeting to represent Bold. I was involved with the interview team for Pastor Katrina's call. And that was just a two-year term call interview. It was also the first relationship team with Bethel and Minnehaha. In October, I went to the Faith and Practice and Neighborhood Practice. There was a weekend retreat that I attended, and I am now part of that for the next upcoming 2 years. In November, I didn't have much going on. I had some personal stuff to take care of at home, so I didn't go to many events. In December, I started helping prepare for our annual meeting, and in January, of course, focusing on my annual report. I just had a few more comments I wanted to make. For the last 2 years, I've been your vice president, and prior to that, your treasurer. I have learned a lot in my journey as a vice president. Last year, the leaders in the council agreed to change how council meetings are run, what responsibilities look like, what reports are made. That changed my vice president responsibilities as well. In the last year or two, our numbers of committees have dwindled. My vice president responsibilities has been a little bit more simplified and quiet. But we do still have some committees running. For example, we have the Spiritual Growth Worship Team, Bold Finance, the Tech Team, and then, of course, the ad hoc team, the relationship team for moving to a new location. And that consists of the relationship team, properties team, and finance team that we're still trying to keep going. I work closely with the council president and prepare for monthly meetings, prepare documents for it, as well as helping lead the council meetings. So inside Bold activities with work, volunteering, and additional activities that I do, as well as taking care of my family, I have a lot of roles, I wear a lot of hats, and I'm trying to my best to be consistent with my work, but as we all know, sometimes life happens. I just want to thank you for your forgiveness, your grace, and your flexibility as well. Thank you for trusting me and trusting me with the responsibility to lead within the deaf community and with Bold Future. As 2023 comes to the close, I am noticing that I'm going to need to step down from my position and lessen the amount of hats that I wear. I will finish my term as vice president, my 2-year, but I will stay as my 2 years on council. I need to focus on my relationships outside of church and my responsibilities there as well. Thank you for your continual support, and I hope you give the next leader the same compassion, grace, and forgiveness that you have shown me. Thank you. Hello, my name is Troy Mazzara. I am the Bold Church Council Treasurer, and this is my annual report. We received higher than anticipated donations, gifts, and pledged offerings this year, so thank you for your generous support in helping Bold. I want to highlight a few grants that we did receive. First was $10,000 from the Minneapolis Synod for general use. The second one was for $9,600 from the Chicago Deaf Church, which closed, and they decided to donate that $9,600 to us so that we could promote the deaf ministry here. The third was $15,000 that Pastor Katrina applied for. It was a grant that she can explain a little bit better. It had a more designated purpose. I'll let her explain that in her report. She has a better understanding of what it can be used for. Total, we have $34,600 through grants, both for designated and general use. We had some staff hours reduced. Our office communications coordinator was out on maternity leave for 2 months. Pastor Katrina was temporarily called to another church for several months. She typically worked 26 hours here, but that was reduced to 20 hours during that time that she was called there. Unfortunately, the church did close. However, luckily, Central Lutheran was willing to step in and take over paying for her salary to have Pastor Katrina stay here full-time. So we are grateful for the Central Lutheran's support in that regards. With our staff hours reduced, that did help pay some bills and cover a few expenses. In our Thrivent account, we have $54,000 that was transferred from Thrivent to our checking account to help cover some expenses. And an update on the safe box. We have to follow the ELCA financial policy, and we did receive 2 locking envelopes with a key, but unfortunately the bank overnight deposit would not, the pouches wouldn't fit into the overnight deposit box. So I asked Chapel Council to get a safe box with a numeric key and lock and a slot that we could put them in. And then we could have another safe for the church's saving account that could be fireproof. And that's all I have for my report. Thank you.
Hello, Bold. This is Pastor Katrina with my annual report. First thing to tell you is that I worked for Bold part-time from January to mid-September in 2023. January to June, I was also working part-time for a different church. And that church, when that ended, then thanks to some very generous support from Central Lutheran in downtown Minneapolis, I've been able to serve Bold full-time from mid-September through the end of the year. And the plan for that is to continue through August of this coming year. So, what does your pastor do with her time? A lot of what I do is plan and lead Sunday morning worship and activities. So you see me up front preaching, planning worship, helping to lead the social Sundays, or I find sometimes guest speakers for our social Sundays. And I assist Deacon Dorothy as well. I preside over official pastoral acts. This past year we had 1 baptism for baby Mackenzie. We had 1 affirmation of baptism for David. And we had 1 funeral for Betty Judd. I also work with the Bold Council, participating in the meetings and planning opening devotions and trying to help nurture the council in their leadership and growing in their leadership here of the church. Part of that too, the executive committee. Also, I work with them and we've been working to create a safe church and anti-harassment policy for Bread of Life. I'm part of 2 committees, the Finance Committee and the Worship and Spiritual Growth Committee. As head of staff, I also meet weekly with Deacon Dorothy and Janie, our communications coordinator, so that we can check in on our priorities for the week and keep each other informed about what's happening in the community. Let's see. A big part of the work that we've done together this past year is figuring out Bold's future. There's been, as you know, many steps along the way and many things that I've done to help support you in that journey. I also worked on and applied for 3 different grants. We asked ELCA Disability Ministries for a grant. Unfortunately, we did not receive that one. We collaborated with our other deaf ministries across the United States to try to get a really big grant from the Lilly Foundation. And unfortunately, we did not get that one either, but we are going to keep pushing forward for that because that one is to help build a deaf ministry learning, like a deaf lay learning institute. So we're still going to keep going forward trying to find other money for that. We also applied for Minneapolis Area Synod Ministry Imagination Grant, and that one we got. Hey. So we're excited. We have ideas about how that we can use that money to help us do outreach events with the larger deaf community. So we're excited to put that into play this coming year. So I also do various outreach to the community. The biggest, most consistent one of that is our going to Lingblumston, LBA, once a month to have social time with our deaf seniors. We also did the Deaf Culture, Language, and Careers event, and did the Metro Deaf School 5K back in the fall. So we also are part of the team that we're in this Faith Practices, Neighboring Practices cohort. And I'm part of the team that is learning more and working with other churches to, again, help us figure out, this is part of our Grow Bold goal that we set for ourselves this year. And sorry. So I'm part of that team as well, encouraging and working with that team. So I also spent a lot of time this past year trying to grow in my capacity with ASL and my understanding of deaf culture. I meet with Carol Vernig, she's my tutor. I also read books and watch videos that I find online by deaf content creators. So I'm doing my best to keep growing and learning your beautiful language and culture. Let's see. I also relate to the larger church. I have to go to meetings for the synod. We have conference meetings once a month with our other nearby Lutheran churches. The interim pastors get together. We're part of a group that's called Strategic Ministries that get together. So there's various synod-wide bishop level events that I'm expected to go to and represent Bold at or participate in. So those are the main things I've spent my time on this past year. I did a little bit of pastoral care, a little bit of working with our codas, and a little bit of Bible study. I know those are places where we want more things to happen and kind of grow my involvement in all those areas. So that's my hope for this coming year, is that I can be more intentional and more consistent in all those areas. But it's a great honor to serve as your pastor. I am deeply grateful for our mutual desire to continue working together over these next 2 years. And I'm excited for what the Holy Spirit is up to here at Bread of Life Deaf Lutheran Church. Okay, go ahead. Hello, Bold. Pastor Katrina here with the year in review on all of the hard and holy discernment work that we have been doing to figure out Bold's future. I don't know if you remember, but back in January, it's like a whole year ago, that we met with Dave Raymond, the consultant, and he laid out 6 possible pathways for Bold's future. We spent time throughout the late winter and the spring thinking about those, researching those possibilities, narrowing it down. First, we narrowed it down to 3, that we want to grow Bold, share the building, become landlords, or sell the building and move, like become renters somewhere else. Those were the 3 possibilities we thought we wanted to explore more deeply. And we had research teams that worked a couple of months on those. And then we had another town hall meeting in late March to talk about what we learned. And from there, we realized we got to grow Bold no matter what, whether we stay or whether we go. We also realized we wanted to keep exploring the possibility of selling the building, but we wanted to stop exploring the possibility of sharing the building. And we had even some places that we toured as possible places to relocate to, and we realized one of those was probably not going to be the right fit for our needs, but the other 2, Bethel and Minnehaha Communion, we wanted to keep exploring. So throughout the early summer, we went to visit in May both of those places, and we started getting more into the details, the legal details about how to sell a building and what is involved in that. We met again in June as a big town hall to discuss further. And at that point, we were really clear that yes, we want to go ahead and have an official vote on selling the building. We were not clear about where we wanted to move to. We were pretty evenly split, in fact. So we took the official vote in July. It passed overwhelmingly, 98% of the vote in support of selling the building. And in August, September, and October, we had test worships at both Bethel and Minnehaha Communion, because we knew we had to live into this to see what it actually felt like to be in both places. So then we had another town hall meeting in October 22nd, and there we got to clarity. We came to clarity about, after those experiences and thinking about everything we've researched and learned so far, that Minnehaha Communion seemed like the better fit for our needs as a community. So that's been the big moves that we've done throughout this time. Also in the fall, that my contract as your interim pastor was coming to an end, but the council plus Anita Buell interviewed me to become a 2-year term call. So I'm here now officially in that October meeting. You officially called me as your pastor, and I'll be here through the next 2 years, to the end of 2025. So we've done a lot of hard and holy work, and I am so proud of us. Thank you for your ongoing participation as we continue to see what God is up to in this place. It is an honor to be your pastor, and again, I look forward to seeing what happens in 2024. Peace.
Hello, my name is Dorothy Sparks, and I am the deacon here at Bread of Life Deaf Lutheran Church. I'll be giving some highlights for the past year in my report today. Pastors from different ELCA deaf churches in the states, Florida, a couple from Pennsylvania, and us have been meeting together through Zoom. That happens every Tuesday morning typically. Next highlight is I went to the Minneapolis Synod get together once a month. Pastors get together and discuss different things. If there's an interpreter available, I'm able to go. I preach here at Bold about once a month still, and I just love learning about God, and I always seem to learn something after I'm done working on my sermon, just finding little bits and pieces. I realize more and more how amazing and awesome God is, and I really appreciate getting to know Him more and more. A few times a month, or once a month, I go to the Deaf Blind Club here at Bold. Went to Bethel Lutheran Church and talked about deaf culture. There was a lot of laughter and joy and some realizations. That was a very fun time together, learning. 2 times, Pastor Katrina and I went to the Minneapolis Synod Convention meeting. We met a man named Wanda New. He is the director of evangelism here in Minneapolis. He wanted to learn about deaf culture and what's going on with Bold, so we chatted with him on a couple different occasions. A few times, Pastor Katrina and I met with Nick. He's the director of the Faith and Practice Neighborhood Practice Group. We're learning how to connect with our neighbors in the area and other neighbors we may have. We did some learning through Zoom with that. Sometimes Pastor Katrina and I would go to LBA, or Lynn Bloom Association. They have housing for deaf seniors that will live in an apartment nearby. We've gone a few times. Every Monday morning, Pastor Katrina and Janie and myself will meet as a staff meeting. It lasts about 2 hours. Happens every Monday morning. Last October, I taught a confirmation class for David. After completing all the lessons, he was confirmed to God last October 29th, so congratulations to him. Pastor Beth, Pastor Lori, Pastor Katrina, and myself met to discuss some deaf lay leader options on how to develop curriculum and lessons so that deaf people could step into more leadership in the church. I did visit Willia Schultz, and then after that she passed away. I also visited Carol in another place. Last winter, around the Christmas season, I developed the script and helped with the play. Everything seemed to run smoothly. There were a few little glitches, but altogether it seemed to go well. That was my report, and thank you for your attention. Hello to my beloved Bold community. I feel honored for the last little over 2 years being your office communications coordinator. I really appreciate that work, and I hope you've been satisfied with what I've been doing on paper, online, through email, and in person. I'm wearing a lot of different hats inside Bold. I have a lot of different roles, of course, outside as well. So I try to make sure my work is consistent, but again, as we know, life happens. In March and April, I was on maternity leave for 2 months, and I just want to thank the staff, the council, and the congregation members who stepped into my position when I was on leave. You really made a difference and really helped me a lot, so I'm really grateful for that Bold community. In November, I was struggling with grief, and coming to work was pretty hard. I just want to thank Pastor Katrina for her continued help and support during that month. I really want to thank the Bold community for your flexibility, forgiveness, and grace. Thank you for trusting me with the responsibility of communication and sending out information about Bold events with the community. As always, I welcome constructive feedback if you're willing to provide any on the materials or blogs that I have created and shared. I'm happy to listen to your comments. I will now divide up my monthly tasks that I've been doing, as well as some highlights from 2023. Each month, I prepare the discussion points for the bi-monthly newsletter, which is dispersed by mail, email, and regular snail mail. I manage the Bold office calendar and make sure all of the events are lined up. For those who rent from the building, I work with them and make sure everything is a-okay. If there's any interpreting needs for meetings or worship events, I coordinate those. I make vlogs on Facebook and remind the community of different events that are upcoming or special news. I also, along with the church council, shared Google Drive. We keep it organized and make sure we stay on top of the monthly reports, just make sure they're all in one space. The council does an amazing job with that as well, so that's a pretty easy job for me. I'm also involved in planning and record keeping for several community meetings that happened in 23, the town hall meetings, as well as special congregational meetings. I attend staff meetings every Monday during the year, and I'm involved with planning for Bold's activities, events, social gathering, town hall meetings, and the like. Some monthly highlights that are a little bit in addition to my work. In January, I went to the Minneapolis Synod Communications Retreat with others who serve in the same position at their respective churches. That was really enjoyable. In February, I presented with Deacon Dorothy at the Minneapolis Synod Toolkit Gathering. We did a training on deaf culture and talked about Bold. In March and April, I was on maternity leave. In May, I helped coordinate tours with Bethel Lutheran and Minnehaha Communion Church. In June, a youth ministry from Wisconsin was visiting, and I presented to the youth at that event. In July, I helped prepare a special congregational meeting. In August, we had a big deep cleaning of the office. That was a project that lasted way longer than 2 weeks. It actually went the full month, but it feels a lot better in the office. In September, I went to the ELDA board meeting in South Dakota representing Bold. In October, I did the Minneapolis Communications Retreat again for the day. And again, November, as I explained before, I worked less hours. December, I started helping with the seasonal events, annual meeting, preparing for the annual meeting, which is today. And then January, just continued working on annual meeting things, plus end of the year projects such as your giving statements and offering envelope boxes, making sure they're ready to disperse. I really enjoyed being your communications director. Thank you.